Help me to reach 2,000 subscribers. When she said she needed space, I thought she meant air, distance to breathe, time to think, maybe even a quiet weekend alone. What she really meant was him. I learned that 2 months too late, in the fluorescent hum of my own office, while she laughed across the cubicles with the man whose name had been haunting the corners of her phone screen. But I'm getting ahead of myself. It started on a Tuesday. We were in the kitchen, the kind of morning that felt routine enough to be invisible. She was standing by the window, sunlight tangled in her hair, wearing that gray sweater I'd bought her years ago in Boston. "Daniel," she said softly, stirring her coffee, "I think I need space." The words landed like a shard of glass in my chest, quiet, small, but cutting deep. I blinked at her, mug halfway to my lips. Space? Like, space from what? She hesitated. From us. From everything. I just feel lost. I don't know who I am anymore. 17 years of marriage. 17 years of shared mornings, anniversaries, inside jokes, arguments that always ended with apologies and laughter. And suddenly she didn't know who she was. I told myself it was stress. Her new job, her father's illness, the kids growing older. I told myself good people sometimes drift, and love was about patience. So I gave her space. That was my mistake. In the following weeks, she became someone I recognized but couldn't reach. She started dressing differently, new perfume, new lipstick. She laughed more, but never with me. She said she was going for evening walks to clear her head, yet her phone buzzed endlessly afterward. When I asked, she smiled tiredly. "You're imagining things, Dan. You always overthink." And maybe I did. Because when you love someone, you'll twist reality until it fits the story you want to believe. The first crack appeared one Friday night when she didn't come home until nearly midnight. I'd been pacing the living room for hours, every car that passed making my stomach knot tighter. When she finally walked through the door, she looked startled to see me still awake. "Oh, I told you I'd be late," she said, hanging up her coat. "No, you didn't." My voice came out sharper than I intended. She sighed. "It was a team dinner. You know how work can be." Her phone buzzed in her hand. A smile flickered across her lips before she tucked it away. Something inside me shifted then. Something small and quiet but irreversible. Days turned into weeks. Our home became an echo chamber of polite silences. The kids noticed. My son asked why Mom didn't watch movies with us anymore. I said she was tired. My daughter said she smelled different. I said she changed her perfume. And then, one morning, while dropping her off at work, I noticed him. A man about my age, maybe a few years younger, leaning casually against the office railing. He waved when he saw her. She waved back with that smile, the one I hadn't seen in months. Something about the way her eyes softened made my throat close. "Who's that?" I asked. "Oh, that's Aaron," she said, too quickly. "He's in marketing. We work on the same floor." "New friend?" She shrugged, looking out the window. "He's just easy to talk to." Easy to talk to. 3 words that began to haunt me. I tried to bury the suspicion. I tried to be understanding, calm, rational. But suspicion grows in silence. One night, I checked her social media. Aaron was tagged in a few photos from her office, smiling at team lunches, standing too close, eyes too familiar. I zoomed in on one picture where his hand brushed the small of her back. My heart dropped. Still, I couldn't accuse her. Not yet. I needed proof. A week later, I got it, by accident. Our company merged with hers, meaning her office moved into our building. She hadn't mentioned it, which already made me uneasy. On her first day, I decided to surprise her with lunch. Something sweet. Something that might remind her what we used to have. I walked through the glass doors, balancing a paper bag and 2 coffees, rehearsing how I'd say it. That's when I heard her laugh. It came from 2 cubicles down, light and warm and alive in a way I hadn't heard in months. I turned the corner and froze. There she was, my wife, leaning over Aaron's desk, smiling in that way that used to be mine. Her hand rested on his shoulder, casual but intimate. He said something, and she laughed again. brushing his arm like it was the most natural thing in the world. They didn't see me. The coffees trembled in my hands. One slipped, splattering across the floor. She turned. Her face drained of color. "Dan," she breathed, eyes wide. Aaron's expression hardened, defensive. "Everything okay?" he asked, as if I were the intruder. I didn't answer. I couldn't. The world tilted, and in that moment, 17 years of shared history fractured like glass under a boot. Later, in the car, she tried to explain. "It wasn't what it looked like," she said. "Then what was it?" I whispered. She looked away. "I didn't mean for it to happen. It just did." He listened. He cared. "You stopped seeing me, Dan?" Her voice broke, but I couldn't feel sympathy anymore. 17 years, I said quietly. "And you throw it away for a guy who shares your printer?" Tears welled in her eyes. It wasn't about him. It was about me. I felt invisible. I wanted to scream, to ask how being invisible justified betrayal. But part of me, some pathetic, loyal part, understood. Maybe I had stopped seeing her. Maybe routine had dulled the edges of what we once had. But love is supposed to survive dullness, not drown in it. She moved out a week later, into a small apartment near her office. Said she needed time to think. The irony wasn't lost on me. Months passed. The kids stopped asking when she'd come home. I tried to move forward, but every corner of the house whispered her name. The silence had a pulse. Then one afternoon, I got an envelope. No return address. Inside was a photo, her and Aaron, holding hands at a cafe, smiling. No hiding now. It wasn't anonymous. It was deliberate. She wanted me to know. I didn't confront her. I didn't need to. Sometimes the worst revenge is silence, the kind that lets guilt fester, that reminds them they're not worth your rage. I filed for divorce quietly, citing irreconcilable differences. She didn't contest. At the hearing, she looked smaller somehow, worn down. Aaron wasn't there. As we signed the papers, she whispered, "You were the best thing that ever happened to me, Dan." I just didn't realize it soon enough. I looked at her one last time. "You realized it right on time," I said. "Just not for us." When I walked out, I felt hollow, but free. And maybe that's the cruelest truth about betrayal. It doesn't just end love. It ends the illusion that love alone was enough to keep someone by your side.